He is trying to wave a blanket or some sort of white cloth out of the window.
Grenfell's last survivor, stuck on the 11th floor, Elpidio Bonifacio, who's partially sighted with mobility issues, was the final resident to be rescued alive. The inquiry heard that the people who ran the tower on behalf of the council didn't make appropriate plans for disabled and vulnerable residents. David Noble is the former diversity advisor at the tenant management organisation.
Would you accept that an impact assessment of the fire safety strategy would require an assessment of that strategy's potential impact on disabled residents or other residents with a protected characteristic?
Yes.
Can you help us know why residents who reported a disability weren't offered the opportunity to be referred by the health and safety team for a personal emergency evacuation plan?
I can't remember.
72 people died in the tower. The inquiry has previously heard that disabled and vulnerable residents were disproportionately overrepresented in the number of dead.
I do solemnly, sincerely...
Mark Anderson was a director at the KCTMO in charge of the council's housing. He was shown the organisation's fire protection policy and procedure document, but nowhere does it mention any fire strategy or health and safety policy.
Can you therefore explain why there are no detailed or no reference at all to the fire safety strategy and the health and safety policy?
I can't.
And when you accept it, it would be prudent and best practice to do so?
Yes, indeed.
A fire risk assessment had been done on Grenfell, but many of these FRAs, as they're called, were left outstanding by the time of the fire.
My personal belief is that any action that's identified in FRA is a risk.
And would you accept the consequence that an action that was left unfinished timelessly may mean that the TMO was in breach or potentially in breach of its legal obligations under the fire safety order?
It could do, yes.
And potentially subject to prosecution?
Yes.
More witnesses for the KCTMO will appear next week. Rags Martel, ITV News, at the Grenfell Inquiry.